Well, welcome back to the International GT Open, everybody. Here for the 2024 season campaign. We hit the halfway point here with Paul Ricard. We're now into the second half of the season. 5.822 kilometers, 15 turns, 9 to the right, 6 to the left, with 70 minutes of racing to be had, with a driver change period halfway through. It's going to be interesting. Can't wait. Obviously, Le Castellet, a fabulous venue. At the same time, it is absolutely boiling hot. Track temperature at a steep 50.1 degrees, with air temperature at a staggering 30.3 alike, though I'm sure it'll be exceptionally more warm inside the cars themselves. But coming into this weekend, Dominic Baumann and Mikel Pitamba at the top of the tree. Still winless, but it hasn't really been an issue for them. They still lead the way. 67 points, 13 points ahead of Marcos Seibert and Diego Menchaca, who equally have also not taken a race win so far this season, just by mere consistency. And even though Marcos Seibert and Diego Menchaca carry more podiums, they still only sit in second place in the championship. But there's still many more twists and turns to come, and I'm not just talking about Paul Ricard. We have got plenty of other tracks to bring you, plenty more rounds to be had. This championship fight well and truly underway. Your commentators here, George Morgan. Joining me, as always, Chris Stevens.
Looking forward to this one, George. We have 33 GT3 cars ready to do battle over the next 70 minutes. And there are so many stories to be told. The championship fight, very much a hot prospect here. We've got so many cars still in contention as well. The top two, as you mentioned, still chasing that first win. But our other winners, they need some consistency. So Alessio Deletta and Jordan Pepper, they had a really good qualifying on the second row of the grid. Christopher Harsher and Simon Riker, they're the only entry to take multiple wins so far this season. But they have been lacking that consistency that served them so well so far this season. Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone have only had one win. That's their only podium finish as well. And they've been very up and down, not least after what happened in Budapest with Anthony Bartone in treacherous conditions, dropping the car. And there is the Mercedes Works driver, and he's starting on pole position. So he has put themselves in a very good spot here, and team boss Adam Osaka alongside him as well. Of course, he's driving in his own car, the 786 in the AM Championship, but missing his team boss rival this weekend of Timo Rumpkeil because the reigning AM champions not here this weekend, as their car is still being repaired by HWA after Heiko Neumann's crash with Morten Stromstedt in Budapest a few weeks ago. And so we hope to see them back out at Red Bull Ring after the summer break. But there's a big fight in prospect here. The Ferrari on the left-hand side seemingly finding some form now, going up against the Mercedes, the Lamborghini in third. 3 different manufacturers represented inside the top 3. Right behind them, the Pro-Am lead fight is happening as well, with the top 2 in that class starting alongside each other. And there's a flurry of AMs further down the order as well. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that progresses. And of course, the current AM leaders, Marco Polcini and Ricky Agostini is his teammate for this weekend, with Eddie Cheever racing elsewhere this weekend. They have got 20 seconds of handicap to take, but it's a first pole in class since their return to the championship for Alam Kader and the Blau Motorsport AF Corsa run Ferrari. Of course, previous champions in the class. Young Aaron Walker, now a 24 hours of Spa race winner, as are a number of the Get Speed drivers. It was double delight for them a few weeks ago for the German squad, with gold and silver class wins there, and Aaron was one of the silver drivers there, and he's starting second in class. This is one of the cars we were talking about, second in the championship, yet to win a race.
Yeah, absolutely right. Marcos Seibert, of course, didn't go away last year empty-handed. He did win the ELMS Championship, but would love to win the International GT Open Championship alongside Diego Menchaca, who just missed out last campaign. Lorenzo Fluscher, who looked to have his own problems at the start of qualifying earlier on this morning. The car stalling, or stopped at the very least, on the outset, coming out of the pit lane. Though we did manage to get it going again. The red flag was still brought out regardless. But it was certainly a great qualifying session that would eventually lead to Fabian Schiller taking the top spot. Yannick Mettler, as part of the CBRX SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes outfit. Dexter Muller will be hopping in when the second stint comes into play. And leaving the door open, just letting some air through. And Oregon, who have obviously had a great spell of form around here at this very track, of course taking pole in both counts last year, only getting the one race win though in race 2 for Pierre-Louis Chauvert and Max Paul, and they got Mari Bourdil in the car for this one, and they'll be tackling the pro class. Simon Riker and Christopher Haase, of course twice winners this season. They took the win at Hungaroring in race 2, Hungaroring race 1 for both Simon Riker and Christopher Haase, and they'll look ahead, so I'm sure many more to come, looking to also land that Drivers' Championship fight to follow suit from winning the team's title last season. Marzio Moretti, the Italian, back in the hot seat once again. And again, another Oregon car looking to dish out some serious points this time around. Oregon featuring a good string of cars in this season's championship fight. Here is our championship leader. Of course, the combination of Mikael Pitamba as well as Dominic Baumann, yet to win a single race so far this season. Not that that's necessarily stopped them taking the championship lead. A really decent weekend at Portimao. In race 1 taking 3rd, with a 2nd place in race 2 alike, and then taking 3rd last time out at Hungaroring in race 2.
And Pitamba is out to make up for the disappointment of Budapest, where he lost the win on the penultimate lap just a few weeks ago in very treacherous conditions. Roberto Lacourte there. A wildcard appearance in the Cetilar Racing 47 Ferrari on pole position there, but yeah, Pitamba very much out for blood and trying to make up for what happened. Did come away with a podium in the 2nd race of the weekend, did Pitamba and Baumann, but they're still hunting for that 1st win.
Yeah, Gustav Bergström, the Swede, back in here for Car Collection Motorsport. Let's see what he can do. Obviously a lot of work to be done, especially those that are featuring just outside the top 10. We've got Tom Jackson setting up for Get Speed Performance Automotive. Get Speed really amassing a huge grid for this season's campaign. Of course, Adam Osaka, the team boss, we saw him briefly conversing alongside Fabian Schiller as we now take a nice pan view across. Drone cam at full work here, heading down the long straight. Cars of all shapes, sizes, and also manufacturers as well. A really grand time to be part of the International GT Open, with an immense grid lineup here to boot as well. And an immense championship fight with, like I said, only 13 points separating Ps1 and Ps2, and only 14 points separating Ps1 and Ps3. And the gaps are quite slender as well, down to Ps4 and 5 alike.
Yeah, 6 different manufacturers represented on this stellar grid as well, in 3 different classes of cars, Pro, Pro-Am and Am. And the Pro-Am fight is hot. 19 cars in there, and we've had a few additional entries with Goodspeed arriving in the championship, and the Lippert car being regraded from Pro to Pro-Am. And so they are joining what is, it's not like bringing a knife to a gunfight, it's an all-out bar brawl this season.
Certainly is. Very tight, and that's what we want to see. Obviously, close wheel-to-wheel racing, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it as well. Certainly as far as Fabian Schiller and Vincent Abril are concerned, especially when you've got 2 pros of that caliber at the front end of the field. But let's take you through the highlights. Highlights from Hungaroring. It was a great start for both Mikael Pitamba and Dominic Baumann to open up the Hungaroring weekend, getting a lovely start at the very beginning of the race for the back. Anthony Bartone would unfortunately come undone in the opening stages as well, smashing up the front end of that Mercedes-AMG GT3. Mikael Pitamba leading near enough all the way through towards the very end of the race until a spin as the conditions changed at the very end of the race, allowing East Talent Audi to clamber on top step of the podium with Simon Riker and Christopher Haase. Race 2 got underway and a little bit of contact further back as we saw the East Talent Audi getting collected ever so slightly just behind. We saw them all crescendoing, leading through towards turn 1. Unfortunately, the AIX, Diego Menchaca and Marcos Seibert, Mercedes-AMG GT3 getting caught up in the crossfire. As we saw them now transfer through towards Sector 3 on this particular run as well. An Oregon car will get tapped right at the very front. The combination of Sergio Giotto and Alessandro Cosi getting undone, heading through Sector 3. But but it would be Oregon back on top again with Leonardo Polcini at the head of the table and back again after winning his 2022 championship. Here is the Drivers' Championship, though, this time after the points from Hungaroring have been factored in. Dominic Baumann on 60 up at the very top with Marcos Seibert in second place. Yeah, exceptional. Incredible. Well, we're about to get underway here at Paul Ricard. Let's take you through the starting grid here at Le Castellet. On pole position, it's Fabian Schiller with Vincent Abril in second place. Third place will then head to Jordan Pepper, Alam Coder in fourth. And representing the Blair Motorsport Ferrari outfit, we got Aaron Walker in fifth with Diego Menchaca in sixth. Seventh place goes to Lorenzo Flusha with Yannick Mettler in eighth spot. Ninth place for Amari Bondoul. And then in 10th is Simon Riker, Freestyle and Audi. 11th place, Marzio Moretti, Michael Patamba in 12th. In 13th place, we then have Roberto Lacorte. 14th going to Christian Korzanowski. Two AMs together. Gustav Bergstrom then in 15th, with 16th going to Tom Jackson. Giuseppe Cipriani, AM Championship leader, in 17th spot, with 18th going to Marco Polcini. Macy Blacksek in 19th, with Morten Stromstead in 20th. 21st for Stuart Proctor, with 22nd Alessandro Cosi. Bashar Mardini lines up in 23rd spot, with Michael Blanchimont in 24th. Further down, 25th, Marcin Jedlinski with Ernst Kirkmeyer in 26th. 27th, going to Kiki Satnana, Pato Wira in 28th. 29th spot. Then, further down, we have Laurent de Meus with Hash in 30th place in the Porsche 911 GT3R. 31st place for Libor Milotta and ISR Audi. Andre Borodin for Greystone GT McLaren. Of course, he'll be swapping out later on with Tor Hagen in the back spot. But the car's now getting set. Formation lap now well and truly underway as they look to filter out into track position, get the tyres into optimal temperature. We're going to go racing very shortly, Chris.
We certainly are. It'll be a fight between the Get Speed Mercedes and the Spirit of Race Ferrari. Fabian Schiller and Vincent Abril up at the front of the field. Watch out for Jordan Pepper there, of course. He is very much flying the flag for Alessio De Leda's title campaign now, after the South African missed the Budapest round to go and compete over in the States. And so it's a different points tally for the two drivers now that we are getting ready for the start. 70 minutes of action to come as Marcos Seibert watches on nervously. Diego Menchaca, his teammate, starting from 6th position, and they are one of the combinations that is going for their first win of the season.
Absolutely right. Fabian Schiller on pole position. Vincent Abril, though, sharing the front row with him. Jordan Pepper waiting in the wings. Oregon looking to take yet another race victory, as they did last season. They'll be joined, though, by Alan Coder. Aaron Walker waiting in the wings. Few cars running off wide. Bit of a strange one, but we go green, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. And a slow start for Vincent Abril, who's getting caught now by the Oregon car of Jordan Pepper as they come down in towards turn one now. Fabian Schiller with the favourable inside. He will consolidate the lead, at least for now. Going off wide, though, Schiller has to cut off track. A few other cars, quite the train, having to go off track, coming out of turn one and turn two. But it is now Schiller out in front. Surely has to give the place back, because Jordan Pepper in behind. What happened to Vincent Abril up at the start? Just did not get the launch at all.
Schiller might get away with it. He was leading going into the first corner. Same can't be said for everyone else who did it. An awful lot for race control to study and look at there to see who gained position. And it's already popped up on the timing screen, but it is the Mercedes Works driver, Fabian Schiller, leading the Lamborghini Works driver, Jordan Pepper, with Vincent Abril settling into third position. But a spin for Giuseppe Cipriani, the AM Championship leader, right in front of Tom Jackson, who almost had to come to a stop heading onto the Mistral.
Yeah, certainly a headache for Giuseppe Cipriani, and we got East Talent Audi as well, alongside Yannick Mettler, who is running wheel to wheel there with Simon Riker. We've got plenty of cars, though, coming out of the Mistral chicane. There is Christian Korzanowski, who is trying to fend off the approaches, I think, from a motorpark car that sits alongside. They cascade through Scene Corner there in the distance. Menchaca, we just saw him make his way through through. Mettler now following in hot pursuit further back. You can see the East Talent Audi of Simon Riker. Mikael Pitamba just closing up as well, with then further back the Oregon team Lamborghini just sat waiting. That's Amari Bonduel, who is of course making his first start this weekend for Team Oregon here in this particular championship. Now, as we see, there's Korzanowski there in the distance. Also Gustav Bergström, Roberto Lacorte in his first weekend, alike Marco Polcini, part of the Pro-Am contingent that filters all the way down. But Alan Coder still holding on to that Pro-Am lead. Of course, he's got Aaron Walker just behind him.
Yeah, only 0.6 of a second, and Christian Korzanowski is taking the AM lead. Meanwhile, as that is Amri Bondwell getting his elbows out against the championship leader, but problems for Laurent de Meus in the AF course. Ferrari further back, looks like a spin at turn number 11, Le Bousset, as we go on to the second lap. Quite a lot of action here in the first lap of Paul Ricard, as we just saw Marco Polcini, the Pro-Am championship leader, looking to make a move on Lacorte. And I think he did manage to get that move done, yes, and that is for 15th position overall. And so Polcini starting to come through the pack. And yes, it is Bonduel up into 9th position now after that rather aggressive move at Virage Dupont.
Yeah, certainly was aggressive. And Gustav Bergström, we're currently riding on board with. It's part of the Porsche collective that we have here, of course. Simon Riker not having a bad start either. 8th place, just ahead of Bonduel. And then, of course, further back, Mikael Pitamba down in 10th place. He's been chased by Lorenzo Fluscher. There's the ISR Audi in the distance as we now ride on board with Tom Jackson from the Get Speed team. There we can see just getting a little bit closer. Jordan Pepper bringing the fight to Fabian Schiller up at the front. We've got wheel-to-wheel here as well between Aaron Walker and Diego Menchaca on the outset of the Mistral chicane. And you can enter Yannick Mettler into this squabble as well, because I think Mettler got a better run than Menchaca on the escape out of that midway point of the Mistral straight through turn 10. Through C now, go! Yannick Mettler moves ahead of Menchaca. That's 6th place for Yannick.
Lovely move there from Yannick Mettler. 3 great Mercedes teams there. Get Speed, SPS and Motor Park going hammer and tongs there, and Menchaca's got to look over his shoulder because Simon Riker is on the back of him as well. We ride on board with Marzio Moretti heading through the 3rd sector. This is 13th position that we're watching. See Walker and of course Mettler's move there is crucial for the Pro-Am category, because it means the top 3 now are all line astern in the timing order. As another move there, Amri Bonduel on the inside of Virage Dupont. He likes that last corner. The Belgian driver who has been racing in Super Trofeo Europe for a number of years now, probably one of the fastest in Super Trofeo at the moment. Of course, he's got the Audi coming back at him on the outside. Trying to go for 8th position, but he consolidates the move. That's the car he's sharing with Leonardo Polcini as Rolf van Eycken continues to recover from his Spa injury.
I imagine that Leonardo Polcini would have given a little golf clap after that move coming through Dupont, as we now see Mikael Pitamba also all over the back of Simon Riker at this point. Might be a chance here for Pitamba, actually. He's going to try the long way around, coming through the very tricky double right-handers through turn 6 and turn 7 very shortly. But Bonduel now solidifying his place in 8th with Riker now down to 9th, and at the mercy slightly of Mikael Pitamba in the Mercedes AMG GT3. Lorenzo Fluscher with Christian Korzanowski, who is now outright leading this AM fray, because Roberto Lacorte has lost places down to 16th as he now sets his sights on Marco Polcini, though that's not a class fight whatsoever. As you now watch them come through the mid-chicane, coming through the Mistral, and Simon Riker now able to break away from Mikael Pitamba, who was closing up quite quickly. We got Porsches as well battling.
Whoa!
Oh no! No, that's the combination of Adamo Seika and Kiki Saknana that are now finding their car. Not on the track. Not on the track. Oh my goodness, Kiki, that was a big moment, and just lost the car on the Mistral straight, and very nearly ventured to the mid part of the chicane.
Yeah, that was heart in mouth stuff there, wasn't it? So that was up against was it the Good Speed car and the Racing One Ferrari that was involved in that one. We'll have to see it again. Yeah, thankfully Kiki got it stopped before emerging onto the racing line. There, I have nightmares about cars rejoining circuits out of control like that. But
It looked like there was a Porsche on the far right.
Yeah, there was Hash as well.
Take a look at a replay from the start. It was a decent start for Schiller, but I would argue that the start of the bunch was Jordan Pepper, very nearly getting the jump on both Schiller and, of course, Vincent Abril, who got away a little slowly, and, of course, he paid the price. Now, this is the moment, just a twist of the wheel, unfortunately, as far as Schiller's concerned, had to take the off-track, as there was nowhere to go, I think, as far as he was concerned. But rejoined. Obviously, I'm not sure how much of a difference that will make as far as his placing out on track's concerned. Obviously, Jordan Pepper very unlucky not to take the race lead, but as we ride on board with Bergstrom, take a look at this. Tight squeeze.
Now, he might get done for track limits for that.
Yeah, well, he's off the white lines.
It has happened in the past. So that's another thing that race control is going to be taking a look at, because if he was over, it's the first white line, I believe, that is considered the track limits here.
Tom Jackson running a little wide as well.
By the time Tom Jackson got there was pretty much no space at all, was there? No. Everyone, at least everyone found their way through. We're only 7 minutes in, George. It's been all the thrills we were expecting. And look at it, top four, separated by not much at all, just 2 seconds. Schiller, Pepper, Abril, and Alam Kader, the Pro-Am race leader, going along with them very nicely indeed. In fact, set the fastest lap of the race last time around.
Yeah, truly exceptional. Kiki Satnana, his incident actually being investigated, and that actually came together with a racing one Ferrari, Ernst Kirkmeyer and David Fuminelli. So, and this was what caused Giuseppe Cipriani's moment.
Contact with the Lippert Lamborghini.
Yeah, so unfortunately for our AM Championship leader, who now sees himself towards the tail end of the field. Leading AM in this race at the moment, Christian Korzanowski, but as we now ride on board here with Giuseppe Cipriani. Oh, wow, yeah. He well and truly collected there, coming through out of turn 7 and down the straight, and he'll have to self-right himself, but by the time he does that, there's, of course, the Greystone GT McLaren belonging to Andre Borodin, who gets lost a little bit coming through Scene corner, and there's Kiki Satnana's moment, unfortunately, after coming together with Ernst Kirkmeyer.
Yeah, so I think Ernst there was trying to make space for Hash there as well, and didn't quite realise that Kiki was
3 into 1 does not go.
No, it doesn't, and then it just spears off to the left-hand side. You see,
oh wow,
Tom's hoping, please don't come back across the track.
He put the brakes on in a very timely fashion, so credit to Kiki on that.
So lots of investigations going on at race control at the moment. They're in overdrive at the moment, but back at the front of the field, Jordan Pepper's just done the fastest lap of the race and reduced the arrears to just half a second now to Fabian Schiller. I mean, what a fight in prospect this is, isn't it, with 2 of some of the finest GT drivers in the world. That's why they've been given factory status by their respective manufacturers, but Vincent Abril's no slouch either. The Monegasque sitting just behind them.
Giuseppe Cipriani's incident is being under investigation. Apparently collision with the, as we said, the Lippert Motorsport, Mark Vollenwein and Macy Blacksack, of course, at the wheel of that one. So we'll await to hear news on that. And we'll update you as soon as we can. But 60 minutes to go. First 10. They've not been boring one iota.
No. These top 2 cars are unhandicapped as well, which is important, as is the third place car as well. So this is a pretty even fight, really, in terms of who's in the car at the moment and the pit stops to come. We'll see what happens in the second half of the race. Of course, just behind these guys, you've got the Pro-Am podium battle happening as well. It's all happening here in the opening stages of this first race of the weekend for the GT Open. As Schiller exits the final corner, his mirrors still full of Lamborghini. His mirrors and his little video dashboard, his live video rear view mirror from the back of the car that is displayed.
You can't miss the car behind
cockpit.
him.
No, you can't. Not that.
Nice
that
and
bright pink.
As bright as Jerry Canavicio's trousers.
Yes.
Which
yes, they are.
Has to be said. I mean, Jordan Pepper as well is another relentless figure that Fabian Schiller would have duelled with time and time again in motorsport. As we now ride on board with Gustav Bergstrom, who, by the looks of it...
that's Polcini, wow. Isn't it?
Marco getting ahead and jumping the car collection Porsche.
I think he got him back though.
Again.
Oh, hello, there's side-by-side contact there as Polcini retakes the place because it was Bergstrom ahead at the timing line. This is all over 14th and 15th position overall. Polcini really getting his elbows out there.
not afraid to get involved and get stuck in against Bergstrom as well, who had his own heartbreak, I think, at Spa. Of course, getting undone coming out of turn 1 at the very start of the endurance that we, of course, had earlier on this season. You'll have another stab, though, at the endurance that occurs back at Monza later on in the season. Of course, that'll be our decider, potentially.
What a setting. I mean, that's going to be perfect, isn't it? We still have no idea how many cars are going to be in contention for the title. Last year it was 4. Actually, I think it was 5 even.
I think we could see a good degree more.
We could see it again, for sure. So here's that moment again between Polcini and Bergstrom. And Bergstrom wasn't left much space there on the outside. I mean, what's astonishing me about this, Polcini's a bronze driver. And he's roaring through the field. And, not much Bergstrom could have done about that, to be honest. And he's saying, did he get a little tag there at turn 2 as well? And that's what led to this this subsequent contact.
Elbows out, that's for sure.
That is, well, I said the Pro-Am fight was a bar brawl. And
that was a bar brawl.
Polcini's taken it to a pro car as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous to watch, but credit to the drivers getting stuck in. Obviously, Fabian Schiller doesn't have to worry about such things. He is currently enjoying the clean air. That is P1 right now, but is still being hunted down by Jordan Pepper, who is, like I said, a relentless figure where it comes to racing in GT3s. Vincent Abril down in 3rd, but certainly not out of this one. Alan Coder also forming up as part of the Pro-Am contingent, but also overall sat in 4th place, which I'm sure he'd be absolutely thrilled with, but obviously still a good portion of racing still to come. Driver change period opens up in 15 minutes or so. So we'll keep you buzzed on that as well. And apparently the incident involving Cars 15, Gustav Bergstrom, that being, as we now take a look at a moment here. Now, is that? Yes, it's the Alessandro Cosi Giorgio Sinagiotto car. I think that has just gone off at Scene Corner.
I think it's Cosi at the wheel, isn't it, in the 25?
Yeah, just gone astray coming into the 3rd sector. But yeah, driver change window opening up. An incident involving Gustav Bergstrom and Marco Polcini has been noted at turn 3.
Okay. Add that to the list. We're going to be here all night. Yeah. And, more dramas for Kiki Saknana. And that's a scary place to go off as well at Scene Corner. The 25 hectares of runoff area have been very much explored in the opening stages of this race, have they not?
They have. I think we've seen a good portion of the Paul Ricard circuit. Hope you've enjoyed your Grand Tour of Le Castellet, everybody, as we now watch Aaron Walker in 5th place and currently trying to nurse a gap of 3.8 seconds at this stage. But he has got some friends queuing up in behind, Yannick Mettler being one of them, fellow Mercedes driver. Not from the same team, though, however, as Kiki Saknana's car comes in to the pit lane. Let's take a look at what's happening here then. So just reviewing perhaps the tyres, likely to be some flat spots, I would have thought, after just spinning.
There might be some further damage on that car. I mean, it seemed like a fairly innocuous bit of contact that he had with Ernst Kirkmeyer, but you know, maybe he's done something underneath and that's not helped the handling of the car and maybe contributed to the 2nd spin that he had there.
Lorenzo Flusha also being reprimanded by race control for track limits at turn 7 and turn 10. So it's been a very busy first stint for the race control team, who are working frantically to make sure everything goes as it should. But Flusha being warned. But nonetheless, 54 to go.
Fabian Schiller's advantage now a mammoth 0.6 of a second over Jordan Pepper, or 0.7 actually. That's the biggest it's been since he rejoined the circuit at turn 2 on the opening lap, I think. And the fastest lap last time around was actually Vincent Abril, who's just 0.6 behind Pepper, as we go back on board with Marzio Moretti, who's looking at the AM class leader Christian Korzanowski. 12th and 13th overall that's being disputed here. You see fairly evenly matched on the straights, the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, but with the tow here and Marzio Moretti late on the brakes down the inside, can't get it stopped. Korzanowski has to go off himself as well, and I'm sure he'll be straight on the radio saying he passed me off the circuit.
They could well be. Yeah, big moment there for Marzio Moretti. Unfortunately, just losing the car ever so slightly and extending, heading into the Mistral. Let's look at it again. Yeah, I just think he left his braking point perhaps a little bit too late. Fully committed coming into the Mistral at turn 8.
If you want a definition of forcing another driver off the track. That should be in schools. Because, and you know, it wasn't Marzio's intention at all, but once he committed and both cars are on the brakes, then, you know, Christian can't slow his car down any quicker than what he's already doing. So there was no way for him to avoid that, really.
No, quite the moment. Once again, Moretti, and up to 12th with Korzanowski in accordance to our timing screen, down to 13th place. Flash of the lights here from Yannick Mettler.
Classic.
Wanting Aaron Walker to alleviate the position and grant him a promotion, but obviously both of them are fighting over Pro-Am second right now, so I can obviously imagine that Aaron Walker is not going to be so kind as to allow him through, especially when you consider that it's Get Speed versus CBRX by SPS Performance. Of course, both Mercedes teams, but representing different outfits. Yannick Mettler coming through the hotel section. Now he's got a double right to take before then moving on to the left to then beckon his way down the Mistral straight. Aaron Walker, though, still in comfortable control at this point. Still the fastest lap being maintained here. Well, should I say it's actually swapped. Alan Coder has picked up the fastest lap of the race so far with a 2:03.693.
And of course, these two were
6:83.
These two were teammates a couple of weeks ago at the Spa 24 Hours at Get Speed, and now they're going up against each other. And yeah, Mettler doing the classic headlights flashing there, and two teams very synonymous with Mercedes machinery, but there you can see the gap to the car they really want to be fighting, which is the blue Ferrari that just went through, is now 5.5 seconds up the road. The car that they're fighting for position in their class. And so, yeah, if Mettler really does feel he's got the pace, he needs to dispatch of young Aaron quite quickly, who's coming up on a full year now in the International GT Open. I've been joined quite late in the year. I think it's Red Bull Ring, won't it? That'll be his first full year complete. When he joined when he was just 17 and still only in his second year of GT3 racing. Very hot prospect for the future is young Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was impressive last season too. There was a couple of performances that do stick out. I mean, of course, we did watch him race through the second half of the campaign, as you so rightly suggested, and just with every turn making his mark in this championship. The more experience he gathers, the better he will become. And, you know, obviously, like anything, when you're young, you soak up knowledge and information, but also talent and ability like a sponge, I suppose. But absolutely tremendous efforts on his part as we take a look inside the Get Speed Performance garage. I think we just saw briefly as well, Anna Moseka just walking back as well. But there we can see the number 10 Oregon car of Jordan Pepper, who is now hunting down still Fabian Schiller, but that gap has increased to a whole second. Abril now 6/10 in waiting. And I must say, Abril looking far more threatening than Pepper is to Schiller right now. And you can just see the gaps now starting to unfold, especially over the last lap, lap 9, losing out nearly 3.5 tenths of a second, Jordan Pepper.
Yeah, gap now 1 second between the top two.
It has just increased because Pepper's just taken purple in the first sector.
Yeah, so Fabian's just starting to try and eke out just that little bit more and try and pull away, get a bit of distance to the Lamborghini, because he knows that Jordan's teammate Alessio Deleda passed his teammate Anthony Bartone in Hockenheim for the lead of the race, and so he knows that he's in good hands. But also the 51 is well placed as well, because Nicola Marinangeli is very rapid as well. So the second half of this race is going to be absolutely fascinating. Well, let's see how that unfolds. And they're all unhandicapped.
It might get more fascinating because the team managers for both Fabian Schiller's outfit as well as the 51 belonging to Vincent Abril have been called to race control immediately. So
that's interesting.
So I'm not sure what is being discussed there, whether that's going back to turn one. Yeah, no doubt it's probably the turn 1 incident, but we will let you know and keep you posted as always, folks. Incident involving cars 15 and 27. No further action necessary. That's the Bergstrom Marco Polcini moment that we saw earlier. Christy Korzanowski, though, at full defence because Marco Polcini is hunting him down.
And yep, this is two bronze drivers here going at it. Korzanowski, the AM class leader as it stands. Polcini, the best placed of the bronze drivers in Pro-Am at the moment. And so it's Ferrari on Ferrari, Olymp versus AF Corsa Run Spirit of Race. Polcini looking down the inside, and Kozlowski ends up yielding that one. And so that is Polcini now up into 13th position overall, and Bergstrom then will quite easily find his way through on the exit as well and follow Polcini in going into the hotel chicane.
Two Ferraris meeting at turn one. The one prevails is the one being driven, of course, by Marco Polcini. Gustav Bergstrom taking full advantage, moving on through alike for the Porsche. And will now look to chase after Marco, but Marco alleviating himself a little bit of delta, obviously with Bergstrom getting caught up. Again, Fabian Schiller, not just to get a fastest lap. So that is absolutely tremendous on his part. The gap now spreads out to 1.1, though it has come down a little bit. Jordan Pepper has brought it back to within a second again. And as we update the timing, obviously as we look at it, personal bests on call for Jordan Pepper. Here's the moment again where we saw Kozlowski and Marco Polcini coming together through turn one. Polcini cruising on through as Kozlowski leaves the door open. Of course, it won't worry Christian too much. It's not the fight he's looking for.
Yeah, and the car he's fighting is Roberto Lacorte, and he's still got 7.5 seconds over the Italian in his class. That's great shot. Seeing the mirror there, how the Ferrari just sort of bleeds behind it as well. That's a great shot. Look at the gap now that Schiller's got. I know anybody who doesn't watch GT racing often might still look at that and think, what are you on about? That's absolutely nothing, but that's a healthy margin he's just got there. 1 second now, but again, Pepper's coming back at it, yeah. But only by like 300ths of a second. Those are the margins we're talking about here when he comes across the line. There was one lap a few laps ago. They were only 1,000th of a second separated. Though.
One lap previous, it was 1.1. He brought it straight back into 9/10, and now he's notched together a fastest lap. So Jordan Pepper, very well versed to this situation, was actually 26 thousandths faster than Fabian Schiller over that last lap. So credit to Jordan Pepper. Never say die.
Oh, hello. Car 51, that's Vincent Alonso, must give the position back to Alam Kader. So that's going back to what happened at turn one at the start. So race control is not happy with how Vincent Abril made his way into third position at the start of the race. So he's going to have to give up. Well, it'll be more than a second by the time he actually gives it up. And that's really going to impact his fight against Pepper and Schiller.
Yeah, well, certainly the pace that Pepper and Schiller are going at right now, off the back of Jordan Pepper taking the fastest lap of the race last time out, it's a huge sacrifice.
And car 9 has to give up the lead.
Oh,
Fabian Schiller has to give up the lead to Jordan Pepper as well. A gift for Oregon. Wow.
Well, could it be back-to-back wins here at Paul Ricard, here for Oregon Team Lamborghini in 2 successive seasons?
Well,
Who knows? It could be extraordinary for Jerry Cannaviccio. I'm sure he's absolutely thrilled at the prospect of all this. Jordan Pepper has been given the almighty reward. Take the place back. Fabian Schiller will have to forego it. Same can be said for Vincent Abril in third place with Alan Coder, who will surely look to take it back. There's the 42 Lamborghini that we're watching just making its way out of the mid-chicane as they now rush down through towards turn 10. And,
but I'm sure that Adam Osaka is seething about that one, and here it is. He's giving it back, but he's trying to take it back straight away. So he's coming back on the outside towards turn one. Of course, Pepper will have the inside line when they get there. And so let's see how this one plays out. Schiller brake very, very deep, but he can't get around the outside there. And Jordan Pepper does take the lead of the race from a very, very upset Fabian Schiller, I'd have thought.
Well, Schiller's very well aware, as I'm sure many are, at the pace that Jordan Pepper harnesses, and especially for Team Oregon, who is so well versed in this championship. They know exactly how to run cars in this series. They've done it over the last couple of seasons now. Champions, remember, back in 2022 with Leonardo Polcini, who will be making his appearance come the driver changeover period. But Jordan Pepper now out in front here at Paul Ricard. And no doubt Alessio Deledda is going to be absolutely thrilled because he's going to be taking the reins and taking up the lead of the race.
And Abril's giving the position to Alam Kader, and he'll be annoyed with that because that's a Pro-Am car as well, so he needs to try and clear that as quick as possible. So change for the lead, change for third at the behest of race control. Oh, another moment here for Andre Borodin, sadly, this time coming out of turn 5.
Yeah, not ideal for Borodin, representing the Greystone GT McLaren outfit and losing it all. Alam Coder back into third, still leading the Pro-Am fight alike, but Vincent Abril looking to make short work of it. Borodin, we just saw just further up the road. Obviously, he was rejoined the circuit, but could yet cause a complication for Alam Coder here, inviting once more Vincent Abril to come into the fight. Not necessarily too much of a hindrance there, so I'm sure Alam Coder would appreciate that, but again, not his fight generally, of course. Whilst obviously an overall podium would be phenomenal, we've got to consider the fact that he is more involved as far as the Pro-Am proceedings are concerned.
Yeah, but he's not going to roll over and just let
Absolutely
Abril,
overall results
go, because it'll work to Marcelo Hand's advantage when he gets in the car. If Cadera's got cleaner air and he can pull a bigger gap, and he is still a good 5 or 6 seconds now clear of his nearest class rival, Aaron Walker, still. So that's working out really nicely for them. Driver change will start at the end of this lap in 50 seconds time. And so, well, now we're going to see. And this is why Schiller had to give up the lead. He got into turn 1 a little too hot, and they weren't happy, I think, with the idea that Schiller would have hung on to the lead had he made the corner. And of course, they're not happy with how Vincent Abril took third away from Alam Coder there as well. That's why we've just had the position change, and it's now 3/4 of a second is Jordan Pepper's lead as he heads on to the Mistral once again.
Yeah, Pepper in control now, 6/10 now between Pepper and Schiller. Coder 1.3 away from Schiller as well. But has got Abril trying to close up 7/10 the gap. Walker 6 seconds behind Abril, with Yannick Mettler still working on closing, but Mettler has not managed to close at all. 1.2 is now the difference between them. So you now watch them cruise through towards turn 10 at Scene, but could be a huge result for Pepper. The driver change window has now well and truly opened up, so the big question is who will box first. No doubt we will see I think a few names. Another tyre squeal we heard there as well as we make our way around turn 10. And no doubt we'll see Diego Menchaca potentially come in, put in Marcos Seibert. Maybe we'll see Bondul come in, bring out Leonardo Polcini.
Maybe we'll see when they get around there. I mean, I'm sure these guys will string this out for as long as humanly possible.
The leaders certainly will,
yes,
that's for sure.
They absolutely will. So they go around for another tour of this circuit, Paul Ricard. 41 minutes remaining. We're just coming up on half an hour now in this race, and it's been dramatic. It's been great stuff, and of course these are two cars as well that really need to start scoring points in the championship.
I think Abril might have taken third place back by the looks of it.
Yes, that's what it says on the timing. And we got a flurry into the pits. And so you're right, Amory Bonduel, Simon Riker and Mikhail Pitamba, as well as Andre Borodin there just in front of them, and Diego Menchaca in pit lane there as well. So, yes, good call, George.
There we are. That's a perfect 10. We're now seeing the cars come in, make changes. Marcos Seibert hops in for Diego Menchaca. Leonardo Polcini, 2022 champion, in for Bonduel. We also have Christopher Haase in for Simon Riker. Mikhail Pitamba will drop off for Dominic Baumann, of course, who is a well-versed and experienced contender in this championship. Gustav Bergström also in the pits, and Roberto Lacorte also in the box early as well. So already a lot of twists and turns. More cars also venturing into the pits as time rumbles onwards. And coming in is Riccardo Agostini, who swaps in for Marco Polcini, but they have some handicap to serve.
Quite a bit of it. 20 seconds, the most handicapped car out there. And of course, Bonduel and Polcini have 10 seconds to take as well after their victory in Budapest. So Polcini is going to have to be sat there for quite some time before he can move out of pit lane. So Gustav Bergström's in as well, with Nico Menzel just leaving the box. So here they all come back out onto the track. Relatively clear track by the looks of it as well, which is good news for them. And so these are the cars we're going to have to be watching when this lot start coming into pit lane.
They'll be looking for the undercut here at this stage, just to try and negate anything that Pepper and Schiller put together, as well as Abril up at the top. But don't forget, there's still some decent drivers to come. But, oh, dearie me, a squabble on the outset. Now, that's Riccardo Agostini on the Greystone GT McLaren. Of course, remember, that's... wow, that was a close moment, Chris.
Yeah, Lewis Proctor in the Greystone GT McLaren now, and coming out in the midst of the leaders as well, which is less than ideal. Oh no, this looks like problems for Giorgio Sernegiotto though in pit lane in the 25. Back of the car was off there, but yeah, we see so most of the Pro-Am runners have now got their Pro in the car, and of course it's the top three yet to stop in Pro-Am. But also Hashem Piotr Vera have also continued on, interestingly, for another lap.
Driving standards has been questioned against Riccardo Agostini, unfortunately, by race control for maybe for the pit escape.
Maybe. Well, of course, there was that moment early on, but they said they weren't going to look at that, didn't they? So, yeah, it's all coming through at the moment. As of course, that Ferrari and that McLaren fighting for Pro-Am position.
No further investigation either on the 8 of Giuseppe Cipriani. From what we saw earlier on, either, so race control deeming that is no longer needed. As we now see the good speed coming in, Piotr Vera out of the car, in comes Dan Arrow, Giuseppe Cipriani, who's flying solo as always, and looking to add points to his AM title charge.
Dan Arrow finally getting a shot at GT Open once again on his return. Of course, he was with Oregon Lamborghini last year, now returning with the Good Speed team in a Pro-Am pairing. I look forward to seeing the Dutch-Polish driver back out there, very much embracing his mother's Polish side. Now he's with the Good Speed team. See Jamie Stanley climbing on board there, and that was the 51 in. That was Vincent Abril into pit lane. So he's the first of the top three to blink and to hand over to Nicola Marinangeli.
Yeah, Nicola Marinangeli will be in the hot seat. And speaking of which, obviously we spoke about Dan Arrow. We saw a big fight between Peter Pirolini, and of course with Nicola Marinangeli as well. So we saw those two come together at this very circuit last season. But different scenarios, different veins here this time, with Dan Arrow now part of the Good Speed Mercedes outfit. It's Fabian Schiller, who still makes all here in this, but eventually as the driver change window comes to a close, Anthony Bartone will be stepping up, with Jordan Pepper giving way to Alessio Deleda. We can see the Proctor Greystone GT McLaren just in behind, obviously out of sync with the two cars we're watching at the head of the field. Pepper still cruising on through, and there's Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Sernegiotto's car coming through towards turn 10. In comes the Vermana Mercedes, though.
Yeah, so that 25 car did get back out on track again. We saw the back of the car was off in pit lane, but has got going again as out comes the 96 car there, Lucas Dunner. Now aboard that car. Here are the leaders. Still 7 minutes left on the driver change window, so I think they might be inclined to just continue stretching this one out, and the gap is increasing now. That's the biggest it's been. 1.9 seconds is Pepper's advantage now over Schiller, and they both go for another lap. Of course, in close company there is Lewis Proctor and Ricky Agostini, who are the pros in their Pro-Am lineup, and then the irony is they've got the Pro-Am leader just behind them, actually, over their shoulder. And they'll be trying to stay on the lead lap, I'm sure, but of course Alain Cadet yet to make his stop. Because also in the Racing One Ferrari there now we have David Fuminelli, who is replacing Luca Ludwig in that car for the remainder of the season, as the 6 and the 7, the Get Speed and the Car Collection Porsche going wheel to wheel here, and then Yannick Mettler is trying to find his way through. So Aaron Walker and Yannick Mettler still absolutely glued together for what is second position in Pro-Am. And side by side into turn number 5, you're going to struggle to get around there, and he's going to get run out of road. Can't go around the outside there, but he might have a great run here going down the Mistral. But Mettler had a big swapper though, trying to get on the power. That might just compromise his run. Oh no, 25 didn't last very long at all, unfortunately. That car is out of the race. But back to the battle for second position in Pro-Am. In comes Marzio Moretti, and so he'll hand over the car to Artem Petrov. Mettler had a look down the inside, but he can't find a way through on Walker.
No, not at all. Still the number 7 of Mardini and Timon van der Helm stretching down the straight in towards turn 1, but Aaron Walker just doing enough to maintain his position out on track. Obviously tried to stick a car in between he and Yannick Mettler. Mettler obviously who's been working hard to try and brush past Walker. It's proving to be easier said than done. I mean, I would say if you look at Aaron Walker now, probably a more tenacious driver than he was last season, that's for sure. Still have driver change periods onwards now. We're coming into the final 5 minutes of it, as now once again we see Christopher Haase, who took the fastest lap not too long ago, going wheel to wheel here with Marcos Seibert as they run side by side, coming in towards turns 5 and 6. Very soon turn 7. Great move there from Haase, once again underlining his pace and raw ability for East Talent Audi, and now pursuing greater positions out on track.
Yeah, that's 8th now for Christopher Haase. And he is 10 seconds behind Marin Angeli, who is the leader of the cars who have made their stops. They were both unhandicapped, but Aaron Walker has pulled into pit lane now from second in Pro-Am. But yeah, the gap between Haase and Marin Angeli is one to watch, and this is how we got it done. So it's down the inside into turn 3, and then eventually getting it done into turn 5. That was a good bit of side-by-side there, getting ahead of Seibert. So this is Valentin Pierberg getting aboard the number 6 Get Speed car. Still 4 minutes left on the driver change window. So let's see where Pierberg comes out in relation to the likes of Lewis Proctor and Ricky Agostini and David Fuminelli now.
Valentin Pierberg, a former race winner here in the International GT Open back at Silverstone not too long ago. It feels like a long time since we've raced at Silverstone, but as we now watch the cars rush through turn 10, there is Fabian Schiller still giving chase now. Pepper's gap is now strung out to 1.4 seconds, and we've got car 11 with a 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time. That's David Fuminelli's car, unfortunately, after causing a collision with the 786 of Kiki Saknana.
Yeah, so that's the incident we saw with Ernst Kirkmeyer and Kiki Saknana a little earlier on. So that car currently 6th in Pro-Am. But we'll see where they end up, because they've now got their pro in the car.
Intrigued to see where Marin Angeli comes out after the top 5 have stopped. And obviously he is one of the runners that boxed earlier on. Of course, he didn't box personally, but jumped in the car in the place of Riccardo Agostini. Into the pit comes Pepper. Jordan Pepper in the pit. So now Alessio Deleda will hop in. So that is the first change right at the very top between Schiller and Pepper. Decided to go first. Schiller staying out. He still has 2 minutes and 20, though I'd imagine he'll come in on this lap.
Great little jump there from the mechanic going over the board that shows the driver where to stop. Very athletic. But now Schiller is going to have to put his foot to the floor as Mettler's in as well, handing over to Dexter Muller in the car barn by SPS Mercedes. So that is, before Walker pitted, was 3rd in Pro-Am, now 2nd. And so it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Valentin Pierberg. That's the car they were directly fighting with. Christian Korzanowski also in as well, handing over to Stanislav Jedlinski, one of the oldest drivers in the field, the ripe age of 74.
Riccardo Agostini getting a warning for track limits at turn 7 and turn 10. He's not alone either, because Dominic Baumann also receiving one from race control. And so there we have it. Obviously, once again, race control still very firmly ensuring everything goes to plan. Out comes Alessio Deleda in the number 10 Lamborghini, and in behind we have the Ferrari cruising on
Marin Angeli.
Of Marin Angeli, but not able to break past Deleda. So might be warm undertones here for Schiller, who surely could potentially race easier, the fact that their car could rejoin ahead of both drivers.
And he's going to have to come in this lap. We've got 1 minute left on the driver change window, so Schiller's going to have to come in this lap and hand over to Anthony Bartone.
Yeah, big one, this one. Obviously, they're going to want to make sure that they don't have a slow stop as such, make sure they get everything done in a timely fashion. Otherwise, that could lead to that zero handicap scenario to becoming a handicap scenario, and they certainly don't want that. Anthony Bartone getting set to jump into the car. Fabian Schiller, after doing a truly tremendous stint, after coming close with Jordan Pepper. Of course, Pepper was handed the lead at one point, but we'll have to see how De Ledder's pace fares and where Bartone comes out in amongst it.
Bartone climbing on board the car. Another driver who wants to make up for what happened in Budapest. Of course, it wasn't just Batambu who dropped it in those difficult conditions. Bartone was fighting for a podium position when he speared off the road and hit the barriers, as we saw in the highlights package at the top of the show. So Schiller's work is done. He's given them that car in the best position he possibly can. We see more trouble for the Greystone GT McLaren.
There's De Ledder, who's in third right now as well, looking to persevere and maybe break past Bartone. In the pits, of course, Coder, as we said. Now in comes Marcello Hahn, who will be taking his spot. Of course, former race winners in their own right as well in the International GT Open, and making a return here once again, only winning the one race so far in their GT Open careers. As we now watch as side by side, wow, what a little bit of a moment there, but still, here comes De Ledder. Where's Bartone? That's the big question. Let's wait and see if the camera pans out. There's Bartone right now. The Greystone GT McLaren also coming out as well, but well and truly clear. Anthony Bartone at the front of the field. He leads this race ahead of Alessio De Ledder.
Yeah, so that's Getsby taking the lead back again. Those extra laps there for Fabian Schiller really doing the job. They've jumped De Ledder now. And Marin Angeli at 3.6 behind De Ledder as well. Haase, though, is in fourth position and absolutely flying at the moment as the LD. He did the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago as well. He's currently 7.8 behind Marin Angeli, but that gap is coming down. So watch out for Haase. He's still in with a shoe in here. 26.5 minutes left to go as this is Dominic Baumann trying to find his way through the field. He's just taken 9th position away from Valentin Peerberg there, and who is now second in Pro-Am, having just gone past Dexter Muller as well. And then the car right in front of them, that's Lucas Dunner for 7th position for Baumann. There, that's where he's looking, heading down the Mistral. So Dunner 7th, Baumann in 8th in the championship, leading SBS Mercedes. Trying to make up some ground here.
Yeah, the 96 of Dunner. A bad stint so far, as we now look back as well at yet two more cars. Paolo Roberti in the midst of a little bit of a scrap in his own right, but as we now watch the cars make their way through Scene Corner, Dominic Baumann cruises through the next right-hander championship leader, SPS Performance Mercedes. Of course, they won't be touching the top step at this rate. Obviously, with Bartone now out in front, De Ledder, Marin Angeli, Haase down in 4th. And, Marco Seibert, 5th place right now. Of course, Marin Angeli 3.1 away. We'll have to see how the laps compare, and I can tell you that Haase is 1 second a lap faster than Nicola Marin Angeli right now.
Yeah, continually bringing the gap down. He's 12 seconds off the race leader. And speaking of the race leader, De Ledder's coming at him.
Yes.
Gap down to 1.2 now. So the Italian, the former motorcycle racer before switching over to single-seater racing in 2018, is now hunting down the race leader. And, well, yeah, that was a lot of curb there for Anthony Bartone, who's still very early in his GT racing career, of course, as well. Really only got into it in 2022, so still very early in Bartone's career. But we've still got a fight on our hands here, with Marin Angeli also closing in on De Ledder as well. So basically what we have here is 4 cars in reverse speed order at the moment by the looks of it, and it's now only 10 seconds covering the top 4.
Yeah, and Haase taking a second a lap out of Marin Angeli again. It was just under 9.5 tenths so is actually cruising, and he was purple again in that last sector, completing that last lap. So it's looking like the Audi R8 LMS is coming back to fight once more here at Paul Ricard. Let's take a look at the gap again this time. It's sitting at 6.4. And it's actually gone out a little bit, so Maranangeli finding a little bit more time, but there is traffic to obviously factor in here at this stage. Warning for the treble 7 Audi R8 belonging to Olymp Racing for track limits at turn 7 and turn 10 again. Seems to be catching a few out at that point, of course. But as we now watch Haase, 4th place as it stands. Of course, they are race winners this campaign, after notching together a superb result back at Hockenheimring, and they did exactly the same at Hungaroring in race 1. After Pitamba's error under the wet conditions, changed conditions, that caused a few headaches for a few drivers out there, no more so than Mikael Pitamba. But here we go, Christopher Haase coming out of the final corner. Let's see how the laps compare this time between he and Nicola Maranangeli. I can tell you the sectors were pretty tight through the second sector, though he was fastest in the first, or faster than Maranangeli in the first, 2:03. Against a 9.36, so again, very nearly an entire second quicker for 3 successive laps.
Yeah, top 2 matched each other to 1/10 of a second. Maranangeli about a second quicker than them, and Haase about a second quicker than Maranangeli. This is brilliant. This is really going to brew up right at the end of the race
here. Could be a 4-lap battle right at the very end.
It could well be.
A 4-car battle, I should say, at the very end of the race.
Yeah. Managing the traffic as well. What a nightmare.
And that's the comparison between Haase and Bartone. Nearly 2 seconds. So currently sat at 1.8.
It's fantastic stuff. And look, you can see them all down the Mistral. There they all are. Bartone putting a lap here on Amir Naran in the Vimana. Oh, Delena trying to go through there as well. Oh, he's tagged him. He's tagged him. And Agostini has to, Maranangeli, sorry, has to go across the runoff area. That could spell trouble for the number 10 Lamborghini. Not only has it put Maranangeli right on his back bumper, but also he could well be slapped with a penalty for that.
Yeah, he could well be. He was a very overzealous. I think he was just keen not to let Anthony Bartone go, but it's come at a greater cost. And similar signs, really, from last year for Team Oregon, because the same can be said. Let's take a look at it again briefly. Oh, yeah. You have to wonder, really. I mean, I'd imagine Race Control will take a good long look at that one, but...
don't think it'll be a long look, George.
No, well, maybe not. I'm trying to be kind at this stage. But, I mean, going back to last season, where heartbreak hinders an Oregon team car in the very end of a race here at Paul Ricard. It happened last season, of course, when we look at Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Max Paul, the puncher that they sustained coming through turn 10, coming into sector 3, that effectively kissed goodbye to any chance of that race win in race 1.
Right, so Maranangeli now on the back of Deleda. He was already lapping significantly quicker than Deleda. He's just been handed pretty much a full second there on a silver platter. And so let's see how long it takes him to get into second position. Haase continuing to close on them as well. It's now 4 seconds back from Maranangeli. 7.2 covers the top 4.
Certainly is very tight. 1.8 registered here now between Haase and Maranangeli over the last lap. That is absolutely, well, absolutely sensational on part of Christopher Haase, who once again starts continuing to go to work. A 2:02.933 over that last lap against the 2:04.78. I think that's 7.88 that Nicola Maranangeli put together. As we now watch as Alessio Deleda in the midst of a huge scrap now over second position with Maranangeli hot on his heels. Now, Maranangeli's gap to Haase is only going to suffer now because there is effectively a train scenario here on part of Alessio Deleda. And you can see in the distance, Haase flashing his lights, wanting all of these back markers that he is encountering to move out of the way.
Trouble is, they've got some quick drivers on board those cars at the moment because they're all trying to find their way through the Pro-Am pack.
Which makes things a little complicated.
Yes, it does. It does quite significantly because you see, like they're not pulling away from Jamie Stanley behind them, are they? Because Jamie's a very quick driver. So you see some of the other Pro-Am cars just falling down the order, like Marcelo Hans just been done by Dominic Baumann for, and Lucas Danner actually for 6th and 7th. but still hanging on to the Pro-Am lead. Not by much, though, only 0.3 of a second to Valentin Pierberg, but we keep an eye on what is happening at the front. Just a 0.4 of a second, less than that now probably, between De Lede and Marin Angeli, as we see Haase continuing to close in as well, but De Lede feeling the need to go defensive into the first corner, as the two Italians in the two Italian-run Italian cars are going wheel to wheel for second position. De Lede continuing to hang on. We have seen he's been able to get his elbows out so far this season. It's first year in international GT Open competition, not his first year in GTs. Marin Angeli had
very ambitious
look here. That was, well, maybe, but here we see Marin Angeli, who has been known for his aggression in wheel-to-wheel combat, let's say, but he's playing it quite safe at the moment, I'd say, actually. And this is something I noticed in Budapest, that there are a slightly different Nicola Marin Angeli, let's say, who has become a little tamer, and I think we're seeing that here.
And I think under the guidance of Vincent Abril, I think that's played a huge part as well. Just tapping the rear of Alessio De Lede's car. The two Italians coming toe-to-toe as they now head through in towards turn 10. And now the door as well had truly opened up as De Lede goes defensive once more. But coming out of Scene Corner could present something a little different when we head into Bousset. Still De Lede in second, but for how much longer? There you see Marin Angeli just waiting in the wings for any mistake that De Lede might make. And of course, remember, this is Marin Angeli's second season in GT3 machinery. Came into it from single-seaters last campaign, competed in the Euro Formula Open Championship, and now coming home to roost once again in the GT Sport organisation when joining the GT Open grid. Just look at that contact.
Oh, I love it. This is such a great fight between these cars. De Lede is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Look at Haase, 1.6 seconds back now, probably less than that at this point. The problem is he's got a very quick Jamie Stanley he's going to have to try and clear first. That'll be the thing that holds him up. And slightly, Abril got, Marin Angeli, sorry, got slightly wide. Had a Virage Dupont there. Still in the wheel tracks of that Lamborghini, trying to chase second place away. This is great news for Anthony Bartone. He's pulled 3.2 seconds while these guys have been squabbling. And so it's looking good now for the number 9 crew to try and get their second victory of the season. Pit stops for car 55, that blue and red Ferrari, and 66, so that's Jamie Stanley and the Proctors, is going to be investigated. So we'll see what happens with that. Oh, yellow flag out at turn 5. Why is that? This is this point in the track. Well, I couldn't see anything there, but that is what the timing screen is displaying at the moment. It's just here at the top of the screen. Is that the 69, the Scuderia Villorba Corsa Mercedes that was just parked up there? We could see it at the top of screen. So that's why we had yellow flags there. No concern to these guys at the moment, though, as still Marin Angeli looks to go through. And Carster's trying to find his way through on Stanley there to put a lap on the AF Corsa Ferrari. And look how much gap he's lost just in a few corners there, being stuck behind.
Here we go.
And he's trying to clear the Greystone GT McLaren as well, which is... I think that's Ollie Webb now, isn't it, who's right behind him. And Arsenal's losing so much time. Marin Angeli off the track at Scene Corner.
Pushing for a little bit, at least something to try and challenge Alessio De Lede, who has done well to defend against Marin Angeli, but a little twist, and I must say, it got a little bit unruly coming into the next left-hander. They're going to run wheel-to-wheel. Lamborghini versus Ferrari. The two Italians rub wheel-to-wheel, shoulder-to-shoulder. Marin Angeli unable, though, to break past De Lede on that occasion. De Lede somehow, someway, withstanding the pressure and retaining second place, but as they now burst through into the final corner at DuPont, De Lede spying the move from a mile away. Marin Angeli unable to manufacture an overtake.
He really wanted to get down the inside there, didn't he? But he couldn't quite manage it because De Lede saw it coming. Look how much time Haase is losing trying to clear Jamie Stanley's Ferrari. He might just do so now. That gap that was about to be under a second is now 2.1 seconds, so he's lost heaps of time. And just saw it in the background there that Stanley went off the track as Haase went through. But let's see what's happening with these two.
Well, very close.
Yeah, heading into the hotel chicane. Still De Lede leads Marinangeli, and now they're going to come up on Stanislav Jedlinski as well. Still, Haase has not cleared Jamie Stanley there. This is really playing a big part in this race, as is now Stanislav Jedlinski, as Deleda tries to round up the Olymp Ferrari. Now, did he get held up there? Is this going to give Marinangeli a run down the Mistral?
Well, we'll soon find out. Of course, with the other cars behind now starting to, well, drag past Stanislav Jedlinski this time. Jamie Stanley, once again, being pressurised still by Christopher Haase. Still relentlessly flashing the lights is Haase, but can't find a way past Jamie Stanley here at this stage. And I can tell you as well, the pit stop for car number 27, Riccardo Agostini, being investigated after the race alike as well.
Yeah, the Pro-Am Championship leaders, that could be decisive, couldn't it, by the time we get to Monza?
Absolutely right. Coming through Scene Corner again. Still Deleda in second. You'd be asking yourself twice over, maybe 5 times over, how on earth has he done it? Because Marinangeli has been all over him right through the course of the last few laps. We've got Jamie Stanley also waiting in the wings. Haase no doubt frustrated at the fact that he's just sitting just outside a podium place and what could be a race win as well. And I think he might be challenging Stanley now up the inside this time. Not quite. Still Stanley shuts the door.
Deleda's unwillingness to yield, and Jamie Stanley's, is really helping. It's really helping Bartone. He's 4.5 seconds to the good now. Haase trying to find the inside there at the penultimate corner. This is going to be the hardest Haase has ever worked for an overtaker, I think, and it's not even for position.
No, it's not. He's just trying to get past the lap car, and look at this.
All over the runoff.
We're taking a very wide line as well. Blue flags have been waved by the marshals, and Christopher Haase has been let through here at this point.
Do you know what they'll say now? That he passed him off the track because he went over that white line there, maybe. I mean, we didn't see the full thing, but yeah. And now he's trying to come back at him. Yeah, well, Haase finally released. He's 1.7 seconds back from Marinangeli. He can still play a part in this podium fight, as Marinangeli taking a lot of curb at turn 5 there. The win may now be out of reach for either of these guys if they manage to clear Deleda with 4.7 seconds. Is Bartone's lead and only 12 minutes left on the clock. This is as close as Marinangeli has been all race long to the back of Deleda, and they've been so evenly matched on the straights that Marinangeli just can't find his way through by the time they get to the Mistral chicane. He'll be wishing, he'd be really hoping, I wish we didn't have that chicane there and we just had the flat-out run all the way to Scene Corner, but we do, and he can't.
Well, there was a little bit of touching as well coming through turns 5 and 6, leading through towards turn 7, and it was 0, the delta, when they made their way down the Mistral straight, but he still could not find the leverage coming into the chicane. Going wide, there goes Marinangeli, as they cut through in towards Bousset. Deleda still on second, he holds second, still defending once again. Deleda once more, the defensive wall's up, but Christopher Haase has joined the show, and now we've got a 3-car scrap over the podium places.
Deleda is putting his car in exactly the right place. He knows exactly what Marinangeli is trying to do and when he's going to try and do it, and he's just putting his car in all the right places. This is absolutely supreme defending, textbook stuff from Deleda, but now Marinangeli takes the lunge into Virage Dupont, and he can't draw an overlap still, but has that cost him his run? Because here comes Christopher Haase in the East Talent Audi with the clean momentum, and he might well draw clear of the Ferrari by the time they get to the braking zone. Marinangeli surely will try and stand his ground here on the inside, side by side into turn 1. Marinangeli shuts the door, and Haase has to wait for another few corners. That was a close call there from Marinangeli. That overtaking opportunity suddenly turned into a defensive move.
Christopher Haase's temperament must be boiling somewhat right now. I'm going to say it's lukewarm, and I'm not applying the weather to this. The 75 car as well being gifted a 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time come the end of the race, but that does not concern this fight at the very front. Haase, though, ahead of Marinangeli by the looks of it, has managed to cruise on through. I could not quite see where that might have occurred. It must have happened just on the outset of turn 7, but he's now chasing after Deleda.
Yep, so now he's up into 3rd place is Chris Haase, and now Deleda 5.5 seconds back from Bartone. I tell you what, if Haase could clear Deleda in a hurry, then it's not out of the question for him to take the win in this one with just under 10 minutes left on the clock. It all depends now on how quickly he can clear De Lede and how much traffic is going to come into play.
Well, even amidst the traffic over the last lap, he was still a second faster as now Haase goes around the outside of Alessio De Lede for second place. Haase, with all his experience, granting his talent a team's championship win last season. He's going to apply it here against De Lede. Takes second place away from the Oregon team Lamborghini. East Talent, and now in proximity to challenge Bartone now for the race win. And we've got 8 minutes and 50 still to go.
De Lede so nearly slid into the side of Haase's Audi there. This is supreme stuff from Chris Haase, right round the outside of Le Bousset, praying that that Lamborghini stays on the left-hand side there as well. And look at that. I can't really see it. Here it is. Look at that. Look how close.
Finest of margins.
Look how close he came to tagging the right rear corner there. That would have ended Haase's chances right there and then. Right. 5.4 seconds, 8 minutes left on the clock.
Christopher
Haase, do your job.
I feel I can say it. The gap was thinner than a fly's eyelash.
Yeah.
Truly extraordinary. But yes, it's Haase. Now up to second place. De Lede and Marinangeli will resume their fight, but this is over P3 now on track. Haase's concern now is Anthony Bartone. Given the fight that they had over the previous lap, despite the fight, Haase still faster than Bartone. 2:04.307 for Haase over that last lap. Bartone was a 2:04.596, but now the key point, Haase has clean air. And as we take a look at the sector times already, 0.3 quicker than Bartone in sector 1, and there'll be more to come, Chris.
They will. I mean, they're both in pretty clean air at the moment. There's not too much traffic coming up the road, so this is pretty much a straight dogfight at the moment. And Nicola Marinangeli must be so fed up with the back of Alessio De Lede's car, especially with how close he gets to it out of the chicane every single time around. And heading up to Scene Corner once again. This might be an opportunity for Marinangeli. No, De Lede still putting his car in all the right places.
And Jamie Stanley also coming up behind. I mean, I appreciate he's a lap car, but he's had no fear again, extending Marinangeli coming out of Scene Corner and now heading through Bousset. More contact between them. A slight bump draft coming through Bousset, and it's now Nicola Marinangeli, in accordance to this, moving up the order, now sees himself up into third.
That will be disputed because that was a bump and run right there. Dink into the back. I mean, well, in fairness, I think De Lede was already having a bit of a wiggle, and that's what caused him to slow up a little bit, and maybe what caused Marinangeli to go into the back of him.
It's under investigation.
But I think that might be a moot point. And they might tell him to give that position back anyway.
It is under investigation.
Yes, it is under investigation. And at which point, whatever patience Marinangeli had left in his tank will be evaporated in an instant, I think.
He was warned for flashing his headlights as well just now. So that's
so technically they're not supposed to do it, but we all know they do it anyway.
Yeah, so it's double trouble for Nicola Marinangeli for now. We'll let you know. But in accordance to race control, he gets a 5-second time penalty, Nicola Marinangeli, to be added to the race time after contact and gaining an advantage against Alessio De Lede coming through the Bousset corner. So he has been reprimanded, which could put a podium finish in the distant past.
Well, he's just going to put his foot to the floor now and try and pull out 5 seconds as quick as possible.
He's got Seabear to worry about now.
Well, yeah, look at Seabear. He's right on the back of De Lede now as well for 4th position. Meanwhile, lead gap down to 3.4. Haase last time around 1.4 seconds quicker than our race leader. 5.5 minutes left on the clock, and the lead gap continues to come down. And once again, De Lede going to have to get his defensive elbows out because now it is the Argentinian Marcos Seabear, the LMP3 champion from the European Le Mans Series last year, who is sharing that car with one of his best mates, Diego Menchaca, and second in the championship going into this weekend. It's going to be a rare finish outside of the podium for that number 17 Team Motor Park car, as it stands anyway.
Well, I think the penalty might help them.
Well, you're right, and this is going to help them as well. Down the inside at Le Bousset on Alessio De Lede, and Seabear now into 4th position. Oh, he just got it done there. Had to chop the nose of the Lamborghini there. And so, right, now, Marcos, your job is stay within 5 seconds of Marinangeli, and you will continue that podium record.
Certainly will, and given the pace that he has displayed as well over the last lap, he is faster than Marinangeli by over 1.4 seconds. So it shouldn't be too long before he cruises up closer. There once again is the Motor Park Mercedes. Let's take a look at the move again. Favoured the inside Tiger line coming through Bousset corner. And then ran wheel to wheel with the Oregon team at Lamborghini. Once again, Deleda trying to put his best defensive efforts to the test, but unable to pull it off. And very nearly going into the back of Seabear as well as a token gesture.
Come back at him!
Here comes Deleda through turn 1. He takes it back.
I think Seabear had a little wiggle going into the penultimate corner, and that compromised his run down the straight, but Seabear coming back at him. They're rubbing panels on the way into the hotel at chicane, and Seabear retakes that position. This squabbling is not going to help them stay within the limits of Marinan Jennings' penalty, though, but they are 2.5 back still. So as long as Seabear gets his head down now, he'll still finish on the podium.
Yeah, and I think also Jamie Stanley is going to be causing somewhat of a headache to the cars out in front as well. There you can see the Nicola Marinangeli's P3 car. There's Jamie Stanley looking to unlap himself as they now look to go side by side in towards the Mistral. Committed still Stanley, even despite him not fighting for position at this stage. Seabear consolidating the 4th place.
That's Webb, wasn't it? In the McLaren?
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. Yes, it wasn't Jamie Stanley at all. No, you're absolutely spot on. Ollie Webb looking to unlap himself, but still, similar scenario.
Yeah, very much so. So Marinangeli's still got his mirrors full. This is brilliant. This has been a cracking race, hasn't it? Right, this is the lead gap. 1.2 seconds, 3 minutes left on the clock.
Riker Cam.
Do you remember Riker Cam right there? Oh, we're going to see the live reaction as Chris chases down Anthony Bartone. George, do you remember last year when Pierre-Louis Chauvet was chasing down Sam Dehaene, and
I remember it very well.
On the penultimate lap of the race, went into the side of him?
I do remember that.
We're in a very similar scenario right now. Hopefully it won't be a similar outcome, but we will have, this will be the penultimate lap of the race, I'm sure, now that they are starting, and the gap is just half a second between Anthony Bartone and Audi Works driver Christopher Haase as he bears down on that Mercedes.
Absolutely right. 2 seconds, very near the difference between Bartone and Haase over the last lap alone. 4/10 is all that separates, and Tom Jackson is currently watching it all unfold as well from the garage. But of course, as far as Bartone's concerned, Fabian Schiller, I'm sure, will be on the headpiece saying, defend with your life here. Haase's right behind you as they now head through turns 5 and turn 6. Turn 7 will send them down the Mistral straight with the aero favouring the Audi, given the fact that he is going to get some elements of slipstream off the back of this Mercedes-AMG GT3. Let's see if Haase can light things up heading into the Mistral this time. Can he get this one and done? Riker watching on, I'm sure, as now Easterland hold their breath. Here comes now Christopher Haase for looking for a 3rd race win this season. He'll take P1 away from Anthony Bartone. Peter Riker overjoyed by the scenes that he has seen out there at the Mistral. And what a performance on show from Easterland Audi.
What a brilliant drive Christopher Haase has put in here, closing down that gap lap after lap. He's been the fastest guy out there in the second part of this race, and on the penultimate lap hits the front. And Bartone, he'll have to settle for second. This is going to be important points still for the championship, and now suddenly East Talent on course for a 3rd win this season. It's a complete role reversal of last year when it was just their consistency keeping them in the championship fight. Now they've won more races than anyone. This got close here, actually, didn't it, with Bartone right on the back bumper almost. Peter Riker is as exuberant as ever in the East Talent garage.
Fantastic human being, of course, father to Simon Riker, and them as a team have worked hard together. Very much an independent outfit, of course. They work very closely with the Audi customer racing team. And I tell you what, they have really risen to the occasion in the International GT Open, becoming teams champions last season. You might notice the number 1 on the side of the car. It is for that very purpose that, of course, they have put that on the side of their Audi R8 LMS, because they believe they are number 1. And here in this race, they certainly are. Christopher Haase has brought them to the front end once more, and in a bid to bring the championship closer to their favour, they could yet achieve that, Chris.
And it's important. I mean, I know they've won 2 races, but still only 5th in the championship because it's been a bit topsy-turvy for them. But this is really going to set things straight now, isn't it? I mean, for Bartone and Schiller, okay, it's not the win, but still important championship points. And I think Team Motorpark are going to end up on the podium with Marcos Seibert and Diego Menchaca, as the Seibert is 1.1 seconds behind Marin Angeli, and he does have that 5-second penalty to carry, of course.
Yeah, final lap well and truly underway. Haase takes us through the Mistral chicane at the middle of the long straight. And Christopher Haase, who's had a very long, GT3 racing career, has won many different championships. ADAC GT Masters champion. He is, of course, an FIA GT3 champion and a Blonde Pan Endurance champion, as well as then becoming a GT Open runner-up, as well as a team champion, moving his way past the traffic that sits in front of him, but no one could stop him. Haase's pace has been undeniable, unfathomable, much like has East Talent's performance since they came into the championship last year. They have risen and they've rose above. Haase now coming through the final few corners out here on track, coming through towards the De La Tour section. On the outset of the Garlaban corner, through DuPont he will go, and the Audi R8 LMS is back again on the top step. Christopher Haase will take the checkered flag, and victory for East Talent Audi. There's another win for them, makes it victory number 3 this season. Well deserved as well. The celebrations in full flow. Anthony Bartone, a gallant 2nd place. He did his utmost, took advantage of the chaos that was resuming behind. Nicola Marinangeli crossed the line in 3rd, but does not take 3rd because it goes the way of Marcos Seibert, given the time penalties. And here is another moment with Alessio De Leda, Chris.
Yeah, he got run into the back of by Lucas Dunner. I thought he should have been in Marinangeli's penalty proximity there, but that little moment right at the end with Dunner getting into the back of De Leda means they both miss out in the end. So Dunner 5th, De Leda 6th.
Drama, 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 drama. But we love it. And East Talent Racing will love it today. But here and now, more points going their way in this championship fight. And already it was quite condensed coming in. I think it's going to be quite condensed when we leave Paul Ricard this weekend.
I think you're right, George. I can't wait to see the updated standings now. That's just brilliant. What a drive. What a brilliant, brilliant drive.
Probably
from
one of the
both
races of the season, I think.
Really enjoyable that was. That's some great, great wheel-to-wheel fighting, some excellent defending in there as well. And credit to De Leda there as well. I think he did a sterling job in the end. And so did Bartone. It was great, and that was some much-needed points for the championship. Motorpark continue their impressive podium performance season. Championship leaders Dominic Baumann and Mikhail Patamba only 7th, though. So this is really going to close up, though. Valentin Pierberg and Aaron Walker, I think they've just taken their first Pro-Am win of the season as well. In fact, they have. Yes. So that's a great job by them. They're joined by Blau Motorsport, are once again on the podium. The Proctors for their first podium as well in class.
Yeah, here are the results, folks. Christopher Haase and Simon Riker, race winners here in race 1, and Paul Ricard in great style. Bartone and Schiller line up 2nd. Diego Menchaca, Marcos Seibert 3rd. Nicola Marinangeli, Vincent Abril 4th. Lucas Dunner, Lorenzo Fluscher in 5th. Alessio De Leda, Jordan Pepper in 6th. Dominic Baumann, Mikhail Patamba in 7th place. Valentin Pierberg and Aaron Walker in 8th. Amari Bondul then further down with Leonardo Polcini, Marcello Han in 10th. Artem Petrov in 11th. Bergstrom in 12th. Proctor in 13th place. Then we had Marco Polcini, Riccardo Agostini 14th, Kirkmeyer and Fuminelli in 15th, Jedlinski and Bash in 16th, Muller and Mettler then further down as well. Truly incredible performances. Alex Fontana then further down in 18th, Tymon van der Helmen 19th, Dan Arrow 20th, Mark Wallerwine in 21st, Philip Salacada 22nd, Thomas Aikin 23rd, Roberto Lacorte, Jamie Stanley. Further down towards the back, Planchimon and Pla pretty much rounds off the results. But the one result we all know, the one result that East Talent Audi care about, and the Audi fans, and I'm sure the many fans that watch East Talent Audi racing, certainly off the back, they won many hearts last season. They've won many more today. The celebration's in full flow, and it's Haase and Riker, once again race winners in the International GT Open.
Haase was smacking the roof of the car and he pulled into Parc Ferme. Just what a...
nail biter.
Yeah, it really was. Amazing.
Let's take you through the top three then. Of course, well, this time we'll take a look at a replay, first of all, from Christopher Haase. Going to the top, taking the top step of the podium, of course, off the back of this illustrious performance. What an effort. And obviously, delight on the face of Simon Riker as well. All smiles with Easterland Audi. Peter Riker in his usual jubilant self. Thumbs up, he says. And P1 says Simon. Wonderful to see.
Just brilliant. 3 wins this season. To think that they didn't win last year until the penultimate race of the season. They were wondering, when's it going to come? When's it going to come? And, oh, they're like buses, George, aren't they? Something you get 3 in one season, don't you? And I mean, when they started off the season in Dubai 24 hours, they were victorious there as well. Just set them up for such an incredible season for what is still a very young team in their second year of international racing.
Well, this time we'll take you to the top 3. Marco Seibert inheriting the 3rd place away from Nicola Marinangeli after Marinangeli took a penalty, I do apologise, reneging the podium. Then second went to Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller. A fantastic performance from Bartone in that final stint, just could not quite keep Haase down. And there's our race winner, Simon Riker, Christopher Haase, and they're standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
What a fantastic win for Simon Riker and Christopher Haase in the Easterland Racing Audi. Great race on a very hot afternoon. Let's start with Simon. First part was, how was it, first part?
Yeah, at the beginning we had a little bit problems, but then I felt over the stint car was getting better and better, and also I could catch up already. And yeah, and then for Christopher's stint, everybody did a perfect job, perfect pit stop, and yeah, I have no words for what Christopher did. This was just amazing.
And of course, yes, the final charge of Christopher, that was fantastic. You must be exhausted.
I am very exhausted. It has been really hot in the car. We made everything possible to be fast. We even didn't use the driver cooling. So, but everything paid off. Simon did a fantastic job to prepare the car where it has been. I had to finish the job, and a big thanks to the team, because that car today has been a weapon.
Good fight at the end, and now climbing also in the standings, so soon back in the fight for the very top.
We never stopped, you know. We are always...
Yeah, we're always pushing. Obviously, we made some good points today. Tomorrow will be difficult. There will be a 10 seconds handicap for us. Will be a tough job, but we're here to play it.
Tomorrow is another day. Now it's time to celebrate.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Well, let's see how they did it. It was certainly a very busy start up at the front end. We, of course, saw Jordan Pepper trying to challenge Fabian Schiller right at the get-go. A few cars, though, spilling off track. Schiller was actually one of them, was actually forced to forego the place later on. Pepper would then take the lead ahead in the first stint, leading through towards the driver change period. Eventually, though, that driver change period would arrive, and therefore we would see Pepper step out of the car. In would go Alessio Deletta, who would put on one of the largest defensive performances of his life. It was spectacular. Haase, though, was on the attack and managed to peruse through and move his way into podium contention eventually. That would lead to a P1 later on, but not without challenges against Deletta, who was his arch nemesis through a good portion of the race. Nicola Marinangeli was also out there delivering a few headaches. We saw, of course, Marinangeli coming together with Alessio Deletta continuously throughout the race. Eventually, though, would find his way through after a slight bump draft heading through the Bousset section. Wheel to wheel, we also saw Marco Seibert after his stint came in at a late stage. Obviously, Menchaca opening up the first stint. Eventually, Seibert would take the helm. And then we saw the big moment when it occurred. Christopher Haase coming into the Mistral chicane, ripping the lead away from Anthony Bartone. He would lead for one more lap before then venturing out of Pond Corner and would take the East Talent Racing Audi R8 LMS up to the line to grant it yet another race win this season. Lovely to see. And from the comments that we heard from Christopher Haase, the Audi has been a weapon all weekend long. So positive signs looking ahead for race 2.
Yeah, I went to go and speak to them after qualifying. They're, absolutely, we can fight from here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we can fight from here. And, well, look at that. And it was pure pace as well. No safety cars, bringing the field back together. That was just raw speed right there from those guys. So, brilliant stuff.
Another podium as well for Marcos Seibert, Diego Menchaca. They might I mean, he almost came from nowhere, Marcos Seibert, who's just out of this world. I think a lot of that could be attributed to their maestro behind the coffee that they have down in the Motor Park garage, Michael, who is the barista for the Motor Park team. Does a fabulous job. Of course, Motor Park have such a grand collective of cars and drivers alike, but the top step is reserved for only one driver, or should I say 2 drivers and 1 team. But taking the 3rd spot will be Menchaca and Seibert.
5th podium of the season for them. Still waiting for that win. Which
third place as well. 3's the magic number.
Yeah, I'm sure it will come. I'm sure it will come at some point. They've proven to be incredibly consistent throughout this year. Of course, Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone, only their 2nd visit to the podium this season, and it was the first time since the opening round in Portimao as well. This has been a long time coming. They've threatened to keep doing this, and they keep getting races like that, then they will do it. But win number 3 this season for Chris Haase and Simon Riker, and 3rd podium as well. Every time they've been on the podium, it's been on the top step.
Absolutely right. And also, not forgetting, I want to talk about Dominic Baumann and Mikael Pitamba. They continue their points record. They do continue with achieving a points finish in every race so far, after finishing in 7th off the back of that race. So credit to them, but all eyes to the front. Simon Riker, here comes the national anthem. Well, I tell you what, we may be late in the day, of course, coming into the closing stages of today's racing here at Paul Ricard, but the energy, you can still feel it. And as far as Simon Riker and Christopher Haase go, you have to wonder what else could be achieved this weekend. Trophies lifted aloft here by Marcos Seibert and Diego Menchaca. I think we'll take solace from this result once more, continuing that fine run. Of course, amassing the amount of podiums they have done, making it podium number 5, 3 P3s this season, as well as 2 P2 finishes. And then, of course, we have the Get Speed performance pairing of Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller. Bartone came close once again, still can't quite unlock that same element that they had back at Portimao to open up the championship.
Oh, there was one thing in their way today, and it was Christopher Haase.
Yeah, the kryptonite.
So it's still strong. They're still a very strong pairing, aren't they? And they're definitely going to be in the hunt for this championship. They just keep scoring points. They've been very fast. They haven't necessarily always brought home the results that they deserve, but I think that one is well earned for sure. And definitely going to put them back in championship contention. As no looking after the suits this weekend, is there?
Good Lord. Well, I'm also not looking after your fellow team comrades as well, putting him in the direct line of fire for the champagne. But massive well done to Excellent Audi, Christopher Haase, Simon Riker. Once more, he sprayed the champagne again. Very nearly catching Robert Benito as well on the far side. Of course, representative for the International GT Open.
Robert's been working in the sun all day. He probably would appreciate the shower.
He probably would. He probably would. But yeah, like I said, the energy high. And many of the drivers as well just cooling down after a very hot day. The Pro-Am podium will come up next. Valentin Pierberg taking a victory for, Get Speed and Aaron Walker as well. A tremendous visit for them. And Marcello Hahn, Alan Coder, Lewis Proctor and Stuart Proctor also featuring on the podium.
Yeah, so this has been a great few weeks for Aaron Walker. Victory in the Spa 24 Hours, now Pro-Am win here as well. That is their first victory of the season. Only the second time they've been on the podium, actually. First time on the podium for the Proctors here. That's been a long time coming. A very popular entry. The Aberdeen lad and dad combination from the British Greystone GT team. Of course, at this point, the former Pro-Am champions, Blau Motorsport, Alam Kader and Marcello Hahn. No strangers to the podium. Now they have been quite a consistent force out there. This is their fourth podium finish of the season, their third time finishing in second as well. But it is a first victory in class for Valentin Pierberg and Aaron Walker, and that's great to see. Pierberg has been one of these gentleman drivers who's really been coming on strong. I mean, he is very experienced, and he has won titles in the past in the Asian Le Mans series in his category, and is also a class winner at the Dubai 24 Hours as well. But has had some great drivers alongside him, and it shows because he's performing very well. A young side alongside a very exciting young talent in the form of Aaron Walker.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to come from Aaron Walker, and the trophy's being presented to the drivers by the representatives from Michelin, and credit as well goes to Valentin Pierberg. As I said before, has been an overall winner in the past in the International GT Open, and also another pairing that have been overall winners in the past, Alan Coder and Marcello Hahn. So they're used to podiums, but obviously great to be back on one once again, this time here at Paul Ricard. And the Proctors also delivering a good spell of champagne to the others up on the top as well. But incredible, massive well done to the Pro-Am winners. And then, of course, we do have the AMs to come just afterwards as well. And one and only Roberto Lacorte in his first appearance here in the championship this weekend. It's a 100% record in terms of class victory.
It's a good wild card entry, isn't it, for the Cetilar racing driver? Of course, vastly experienced World Endurance Championship, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship as well. Been teammates with Giorgio Cernicchiotto as well, and I think Ricky Agostini at some point in the year as well. So that's a fantastic performance as well, and of course our AM Championship leader going into this weekend, Giuseppe Cipriani, also on the podium as well in second position, and now as well a fourth podium finish of the year for Christian Koznowski and Stanislav Jedlinski.
Yeah, great result for them. Obviously for Giuseppe Cipriani, who got spun at the very beginning pretty much of the race and managed to recover somewhat. And nice token souvenir to a lucky fan down below. But yeah, incredible. Takes the second step of the podium, of course. Also a winner of championships in his own right, including very much under the banner of the GT Sport organization in his own class. And of course, Roberto Lacorte, special day, because obviously he gets to witness his son racing in single-seaters here at Paul Ricard, but also at the same time, he alone stepping on the top step.
Nice day, isn't it, for the Lacortes?
Fabulous Michelin representatives presenting the trophies to P3 successors, Christian Korzanowski and Stanislav Jedlinski. Another good, decent trophy haul for the Olymp Racing team. Another one going the way of Giuseppe Cipriani from Il Baroni Rampante. He's been part of this championship now for such a long time. And fabulous result for him. And also to our winner, a new winner in terms of the AM category, Roberto Lacorte, enthusiastically lifting it aloft.
He's very happy with that, isn't he?
But
stuff.
What a debut performance, or should I say maiden performance here this weekend. kicking things off. Of course, we still have race 2 to come tomorrow, folks, and be sure to tune in for that. But the Corte just telling Giuseppe Cipriani to wait. And
Call it on the champagne there.
But folks, it has been a tremendous race. We have seen so much action. Join us tomorrow for qualifying in the morning for qualifying 2.